Hey there folks, Graham here and welcome to the channel. Today we're talking polyphonic versus paraphonic. What's the difference and should you care? Well, let's dive straight in and find out. To demonstrate, I'm going to use my Korg Monopoly VST from the Korg collection. The original Korg Monopoly was a 4-voice paraphonic synth, not polyphonic as the name suggests. However, this VST version allows me to play it in its original paraphonic mode or in fully polyphonic mode. So let's look at the Korg in polyphonic mode to begin with. As you can see, the Korg has 4 oscillators, VCO1, VCO2, VCO3 and VCO4, each capable of making sound. I've got each of these oscillators set to different waveforms. VCO1 is a saw wave, VCO2 is a triangle, VCO3 is a pulse width modulation waveform, and VCO4 is a pulse width waveform. And this is what each of them sounds like in turn. That's the saw wave. That's the triangle. That's the pulse width modulation. And that's the pulse width. And this is all 4 oscillators together. Now in polyphonic mode, what you'll see is when I press a key on the keyboard, all 4 oscillators are triggered, so each of these red lights will light up. Now, as shown previously, I can mute or lower the levels of some of these so you only hear 1 or 2 of the oscillators, but effectively every time I press a key, all 4 oscillators are triggered. I can't stop that. I can then play multiple notes simultaneously, but every note I hold will each trigger the 4 oscillators. So if I hold 1 note, 2 notes, 3 notes, 4 notes. Each note is playing all 4 oscillators, and I can keep doing that up to the maximum polyphony of the synth, which in the case of this VST I can set up to 128 voices, but in general hardware synths will be somewhere between 4, 6, 8 or maybe 12 voices maximum in terms of polyphony. So what happens in a paraphonic synth? Well, let's stick the Korg into its original mode, which is effectively paraphonic, and I'll show you what happens. Now when I press a key, only oscillator 1 is triggered. The other oscillators aren't triggered. If I release my first note and press a second note, oscillator 1 again will only trigger. So I'm only triggering oscillator 1 if I release the note before I trigger the next note. However, if I play a note and hold it and then press a second note, creating a 2-note chord for example, then the second note will trigger the second VCO, like this. So I'm now triggering oscillators 1 and 2. If I hold down 3 notes, I'll trigger oscillators 1, 2 and 3, like this. And if I hold down 4 notes, I'll trigger all 4 oscillators. As you can see, in paraphonic mode, this is fundamentally different to how a polyphonic synth works, and you get a distinctly different sound. Here's that 4-note chord in polyphonic mode, and here's that 4-note chord in paraphonic mode. Sounds very different. Also, no matter what order I play the notes in polyphonic mode, the resultant chord is all the same. So if I start at the top and work down, or I work up, I start in the middle, the end sound is exactly the same. But in paraphonic mode, things are quite different again. So if I start at the bottom and work my way up, if I start at the top and work my way down, if I start in the middle, I get some very different sounds. And then if I play like this in polyphonic mode, now I try to play the same thing in paraphonic mode, very, very different indeed. The way I like to look at this is every time you hit a key on your keyboard to create a sound, you are making a voice. In polyphonic mode, the synth has 4 oscillators per voice. Each time you hit a key to trigger a voice, that voice is made up of those 4 oscillators. The paraphonic synth also has 4 oscillators, but only 1 oscillator per voice. And each time you hit a key to trigger a voice, that voice is only made up of 1 of the oscillators. To sound all 4 oscillators, you have to press 4 keys. If you only play a 3-note chord, then only the first 3 oscillators will sound. A 2-note chord, only the first 2 oscillators. And if you only press 1 key, you will only sound 1 oscillator. Now there's lots of other articles on the net which talk about voice architecture and all the technical details between paraphony and polyphony, but effectively this is how I see it, and they are fundamentally different things. But I hope that's been helpful to you and has gone some way to demonstrating the difference between paraphonic and polyphonic. And if you have enjoyed this video and found it useful, then please don't forget to like, subscribe and ring that bell, as it really does help me to continue to make videos like these for you. But for now, I've been Graham, take care and catch you later.